Hello, my name is Michael Jackson, and I am doing my project on the defense of Antonio Gramsci. Now, I chose Gramsci because he is actually there up before into this class, and I found his theory to be um, really interesting, actually. So I'm choosing to defend it. So, who is Gramsci, and what did he stand for? So Gramsci was an Italian journalist and political activist who became the general secretary of the Italian Communist Party in the 1920s. He is known for his theory on cultural hegemony. Now we will get into hegemony on the next slide, but for now, all you need to know is that hegemony is about leadership and dominance. He argued that the notions of ideological unity, either within a social class or a political party, are somewhat misguided. Rather than a unified ruling ideology, he instead argued that many diverse currents of thought coexist in any historical period. He felt that what needed to be explained was how these currents are born, how they are diffused, or why in the process of diffusion they fracture along certain lines and in certain directions. So, hegemony, which is a Marxist concept, um, was developed by Gramsci on the concept of cultural hegemony, which is out of Karl Marx's theory, hence a Marxist concept. And it's a theory that the dominant ideology of society reflects the beliefs and interests of the ruling class. So let's break that down. What does that mean, right? So he's saying that Gramsci believes that the higher ups in society are what dictates what the lower class believes in, what their interests are in, um, what they're into, basically what the trend is at the time. He's saying that this is set by the people at the top. He believes the lower strata, so the ruled, the less powerful, the common people, they come to spontaneously believe in or consent to the common sense reasonableness of the very ideas that in practice serve the interests of the ruling class. This is hegemony. It is spontaneous but implicitly orchestrated, right? So basically, it's like the people in power, the people are that at the top are giving the lower people a choice, right? They're giving them free will. Not really. And he's saying that this is because the people up are dictating what the people below are interested in, what their religion is, beliefs are, just everything is honestly like it says, orchestrated in a way for the lower people to consent to the higher ups, to what the higher ups are wanting, what they want other people to conform to. Um, so yeah, basically that's what he's saying. He's saying that the higher ups are giving people free will. So there's a culture of advertising, right? And especially in hegemony. So the hegemony of consumption, which is the culture industry advertises consumption and keeps our attention focused on consumption. Hegemony captures the authoritative way in which certain cultural assumptions and practices appear so normal and natural that we freely consent to them. Whether surfing the web or riding the subway, we're flooded with information. It is promotional information about products to buy. This is called promotional culture. So, this is saying that although we are giving the free will to do what we want, to buy what we want, to wear what we want, it really isn't free will because we are fed all these things from what we see and what we read and what we see online and on social media, that is making us feel like we need it, right? So, like Apple, people feel like they need Apple products because you see commercials about Apple products. You see majority of people have Apple iPhones, right? And so people feel the need to want what others have, right? FOMO, fear of missing out. You see other people having iPhones, so you want one, right? And this is a tactic that they rely on. They rely on people to consent to buy in to what they're selling, literally, what they're literally selling. Um, Poster boards, billboards, when you're on the highway, when you go to the movies and they're showing you ads. Everything is trying to get you to buy something or to believe in something or to be persuaded towards one side or the other, especially if you watch the news, right? This year's election year. You're going to see a lot of campaign ads, a lot of campaign signs. The more campaign signs you see of one person, the more you're going to have that person in your head. Whether you know what they're standing for or not, you have that person's name in your head, and that's all they want. That's all they are aiming for. They at least want you to know the name. So when you go to that ballot and you see the names, you say, that one seems very familiar. It seems very common. I might vote for that one, right? It's all a tactic. And he's saying that this isn't really fair because this is, it's like brainwashing in a way because you don't really know what you're doing. You don't really know that you're buying into what society is feeding you, but you are. You're very much influenced by it. I'm very much influenced by it. And this is basically the hegemony of consumption. So my defense of Gramsci's theory is is that it's a profound explanation of how power is maintained not just through force or coercion, but through the consent of the governed. The consent is achieved by the ruling class's influence over culture institutions like education, media, and religion, which shape the collective consciousness, right? So schools, they're teaching you, they're showing you one thing. So you're going to believe, you're going to do that one thing. You go to church, they're teaching you, they're preaching to you one thing. You're going to believe and, you know, abide by that one thing. Media, you see everything all over media saying this, you're going to believe it. So he's saying this is shaping our whole collective consciousness, what we really think. All of this is transferring to what we really believe in. We're making ourselves really believe this stuff because this is all we see. Um, Gramsci's brilliance lies in his understanding that power relations are embedded in the everyday practices and beliefs of society. By establishing by establishing the common sense, the everyday beliefs that people consider to be natural and unchangeable, the ruling class can maintain their dominance. So the people at the top, by doing this stuff, they're going to continue being the people at the top. Simple. They're going to do things that are in their favor. They're going to promote things that are in their favor. They're going to get people to believe things that are in their favor. Hegemony is not just about control, though. It's also about the possibility of change. Gramsci identified that because hegemony is negotiated and not fixed, it can be challenged. Marginalized groups can develop a counter hegemony to disrupt the status quo and create social change. So, hegemony is not just about control, right? It's about the possibility of change. So, to get from in order to stop things from changing, you have to maintain control, right? So the people at the top, they don't want something to be changed, right? They're gonna control it as best as they can. They're going to promote, they're going to interest you into things that are in their favor, that will keep them in control. Um, so counter hegemony is to disrupt that, right? To get away from the status quo and to create social change, to create a more um although we had free will before, we really had free will now, you know? Um, so that's what counter hegemony is about, going against what the people at the top want us to believe in, to be interested in. In defending Gramsci, one can argue that his theory remains relevant today as it provides a framework to analyze how inequality is perpetuated and how social change can occur through the transformation of cultural norms and values. His work empowers activists and scholars to understand the deeper layers of power in society and to strategize for progressive movements. So, my final thoughts. Overall, Gramsci's concept of hegemony is a vital tool for analyzing and challenging the power structures that shape our world. It encourages a critical examination of the common sense and promotes an active engagement in the struggle for a more equitable society. So that is why I am defending Gramsci's theory of cultural hegemony. I really agree with this personally, especially in this day and age where everything is just so easily in our hands, right? Our phones are always with us for the most part. We have a laptop, iPad, some type of tablet, TV. So no matter what we're doing, what we're looking at, there's going to be ads. There's going to be people trying to persuade you into one direction or the other. So you're being fed all of this, and your mind is eventually going to believe it. It's eventually going to think this is what you need. You need this dress. You need those shoes. You need to believe this. You need to believe that. So you're not really giving the opportunity to think for yourself. And so that's why I think that um, this is a great theory. These are my references, and thank you so much for um, watching this.